and how we can leverage to the augmented learning with the digital education. Some question and answer session. So this is the plan for this particular session. So this policy is not new. Earlier also we had such education policy in the year 1986. After a long period of 34 years, the Government of India has decided to come up with this new educational policy with the Dr. Kasturi Rangan, who was the former ISO chairman, headed that particular committee. And he made a detailed vision and framework for the school and higher education that everyone knows that the newspaper now and then they are highlighting what are the various framework which is being put up. As a policy, it has to come as an act. Soon we may expect at any time it will come in. And further regulations has to be a lot of things to be done with the center, especially from the Ministry of Education. Now they are coining a new ministry as a Ministry of Education. And similarly at the state level, we do have a many regulations to be prepared for this school and higher education. So this is the structure everyone knows, the earlier of the present academic structure which is happening now. Up to the age of 16, the 10th standard and +2 level. That is the conventional system which is happening. But they have made into categorically 4 levels of foundational, preparatory, middle and secondary. That is the 5+3 +3 +4, which is a unique structure they are proposing now with the new pedagogical and the curricular structure, which is a dramatic change which is happening, which is going to happen soon with the new educational policy. The highlights is 3 to 5 years of children in formal education will put up, which is not happening throughout our nation. Though we are aware of some people are going for a kindergarten, but as a nation, if you happen to see, very few people are entering in the formal education at that particular age group. Similarly, the vocational education with internship, which is another novel idea they propose from the class 6, bagless internship, they said. The later slide also will put it. And they wanted to completely revamp and redesign the board examination which is happening now, which is normally a question-based or a rotten mechanism which we have all undergone. Over the years, it is there as a board examination. They wanted to have a different type of examination assessment procedures inside our system without compromising any curricular continuity. Okay, the curricular continuity will be there. That is a 5+3 +3 +4 system ensures that the curricular continuity. And in higher education, they are going to allow the top foreign universities to set up the campuses in our country jointly with our own campuses. But it is a very difficult task with the present scenario that if I want to establish a campus with the renowned institution, many hurdles are there. But still, overcoming that, number of institutions have tied up with the different universities abroad. But they are allowing them to open up a foreign university inside our country now, which allow to set up new campuses. The 4-year undergraduate degree, it will be there. And the main introduction, they are coming up with the entry and exit stages with your own options. At the end of first year, you may come up with the certification. At the end of 4th year as a degree. Likewise, they are having entry and exit stages. Similarly, now plenty of entrance test is happening in our country, whether it's university, central university, private university, higher institute of learning, okay, government institutions. So many entrance tests are happening. Everyone is aware because we are also undergoing the same process with our children. We also undergone that particular process. So what they are proposing is there will be only one central testing agency, national testing agency, which conducts a common entrance test for universities and the Institute of Eminence. From the year December 2020, actually they propose, it is on the way or soon it will come from the next academic year. Because of this pandemic, a lot many things have got struck. And even to this, but some of the other day, it's a matter of time that this type of testing agency conducting the common entrances will come in. Another interesting thing which they are introducing is the academic credit bank, for which the IITs have been formed a committee to equate this credits which they are acquiring through the different modes, and how the candidate will be credited, how the student will get credited from the different institutions, the different modes of learning. So IITs have already constituted a committee to look in for this establishing a credit bank. New school structure at the early childhood care for through NCRT they are proposing, which is another school education revamping. As I said, the higher education, they wanted to bring in this many agencies or councils, especially with the identified objective. The Higher Education Commission of India will be there for looking at the entire higher education, but excluding the medical and legal education. They have a different councils which are already there, so that will continue. And they are proposing a new National Higher Education Regulatory Council. It has come in different names over the years. Now they are proposing this as the Higher Education Regulatory Council. It will do the regulatory process within our country with the higher educational institutions, especially. It is a clear mandate given to this particular council to regulate it is a regulatory body sort of a thing. Like now UGC is a regulatory body, AICT is a regulatory body, COA is another regulatory body. So all these things will put up in a single umbrella, National Higher Education Regulatory Council. Similarly, the General Education Council is another council they're proposing. That council will establish standards by benchmarking with the other institutions in abroad or in our higher learning institution. We are going to propose what would be the standard in our higher education institutions. And the Higher Education Grants Council, this is exclusively meant for disbursing the grants for research with the higher learning institutions. This is a very welcome move. Otherwise, only the UGC, as on date, it is a mandate for them to grant distributed to the different institutions. It is very tougher to get a common institution or private colleges or the private universities. So this council is looking after only is going to looking after only the meritorious funding projects. So this is another welcome move which they made for disbursing the grants through this particular council. And as such, many accreditation is happening like NBA, NAC, or a COA also claims that it is a part of an accreditation process. Or so statutorily, they want to bring all the accreditation Institution of Engineers were doing. Sometime back, Ministry of Information Technology have started accrediting the vocational type of courses. So all this type of an accreditation bodies will come under this particular council. They are terming as a National Accreditation Council (NAC). So further highlights, if you see, there is no any separation of stream for students. There will be a higher flexibility, and the student can choose on their own subjects to study from the secondary school, like physical education, the arts, crafts, and vocational skills. Which means that it is a pure choice of the student what he is going to. Now there will be a rigid structure at the +2 level. There is no many other options we have other than MPC or MPCB or MPCS. Addition to that, some vocational courses are there, but the all sort of combination it is possible with this type of new proposal. Also, the flexibility will be there. So, in which level, what type of course, what type of amount of content you can choose. A lot many flexibility they are bringing in this type of thing, but there are many challenges are there. It is not so easy to put up this type of a process. It looks much lucrative, but when it comes to the execution with the available physical resources in our country, especially at the teachers and faculty level, it is very difficult to introduce this type of multiple choices. But what they're saying is there is no any separation among curricular, extracurricular or co-curricular, humanities or sciences, vocational or academic. All these things will get embedded throughout the curriculum. Every student will tend to undergo this type of thing over his period of study. And also they have a proposal to go beyond the school levels for public library. That is the utility of resources in a much better way for adult education with the more ICT equipped for community engagement, fundamentally to enrich their activities. So these type of proposals are there in the NEP. And as I said, that the National Testing Agency is mainly meant for the university entrance examinations, that is at the higher learning institutions. There will be an aptitude test will be there, and specialized common subject exams like science, humanities, language, probably engineering, arts, and vocational. And it happens twice in a year. Now, otherwise, only in the kind of the end of completion of their +2 level of examination, they will apply and do all this thing. But slowly they are coming up twice in the year. The student can appear for this type of an entrance exam, and they keep himself to prepare themselves or himself or herself to go for the next academic year. And sampling of an important vocational craft. As I said, at the 6th level, that internship is they are going to bring as a mandatory, such as the carpentry, electric work, heavy metal, garden. It is a vast list they have highlighted. Only very few areas I am highlighting here. As decided by the states and the local communities, it is called the 10-day bagless intern in a year. So what they want to create over here is at that particular age, they want to have education as a more of fun. At the same time, they'll also know what are the available professions which are there and how it will get exposed to them. That is the basic idea. That way they are giving this type of vocational education at the 6th standard level. And the primary concern with the existing curriculum, either at the school or higher education level, is much higher magnitude. So they wanted to reduce that lower level, the curriculum contents, especially the syllabus, what we call it as. The core essential, without compromising the core essentials will be there, and we have to allow them to provide more room or space for a critical thinking. And similarly, the experiments which you are doing in a laboratory is not for much inquiry or discovery or discussion based. It is much of a verification based. So far, whatever the experiments which we are doing in our laboratory, even at the +2 level or at the engineering undergraduate level, much of the experiments are of a verification level. It is not moved towards any discovery or an inquiry based. Not a discussion, it won't happen at all. So they want to bring in this type of an experimental basis inside our curriculum. It gives they are giving a more thrust on this area, and analysis based learning. Otherwise, now rote learning which is happening with our system, more than 80%. That's what the analysis says. And early childhood care and education curriculum, which they want to introduce to the NCERT, that is a preparatory level. And coding to be taught from the class 6 onwards, which is not, which even at that age, what they felt is that coding can be teach and they can learn. So they want to introduce from the class 6 onwards. And they want to have a common curricular and a pedagogical framework at the national level, which is also another welcome move, because every state and the center have a different curricular framework and pedagogical methodologies. There is no any common standard setting for this. So once if it brings with this national curricular and pedagogical framework, probably that will get extended to all the states, barring Tamil Nadu and all other southern India states. Many other northern India, we may see that there is no any uniformity at all within their pedagogy. Even at the class of 8, they introduce the English alphabets. So this type of basic mismatch is there with the state to state. So probably this type of framework will enhance at the national level to bring in a common platform. And again, coming to the assessment, the evaluation part, they are proposing to have a variable model. It is not necessarily the student at the end of a semester he has to be assessed, or annual, or he can come up with a lot of modular exam. And 2-part exam they are suggestively set, like objective and the descriptive. Objective type normally we won't have in the final evaluation aspect. Just a bit. Hello, sir. No, webinar sir. 12:15 this one. Okay. Fine. Sorry. The objective and descriptive type, but with the present setup, the objective type is not there. But due to pandemic, we were forced to provide this type of a multiple choice objective type question inside our evaluation. Before that, I don't think any institution is provided with final assessment on objective type of question. And they are going to bring in financial autonomy for all the affiliated colleges with academic and administrative autonomy, which is another major welcome move. Completely, the institutions will be removed from the clutch of governmental mechanism. Otherwise, a lot of autonomy will get curtailed, especially financially, with the government and other institutions. So far, we have struggled with this type of an autonomy. So once this NEP proposal or the act comes in, probably the lot of freedom will be there in the academically and administrative aspect. Also, they want to provide an holistic report card for all the students, not only mentioning the marks which they obtained, whatever the skills they acquired during the study, which will help them in an employability in a later stage for their career help. So they want to bring in all the behavioral and managerial competencies which they have possessed and they acquired with the different assessment procedures. That is what that's a holistic report card they are talking about. At present, many institutions are following this type of holistic report card. Especially, I underwent post-graduation from Bitspilani, as Madam initially introduced. They have this type of holistic report card, which have a larger validity with the industry customers. So, if I am appearing for any interview, immediately they will ask what is their progress card at Pilani. So it gives all aspects of my technical, behavioral, and managerial thing. What about my teamwork? What is my individuality? How can I communicate? How do I behave within a team? All these things will get assessed as a booklet they used to provide. Still now they are continuing in the Bitspilani Institute. So those type of card they wanted to bring in with the every student whoever is pursuing their courses. And multidisciplinariness is another major thing they are emphasized, the UG and PG program level, and there should be high quality teaching. For saying these things is much easier, but grooming the faculty and exposing the different pedagogical techniques and methodologies to bring in high quality teaching is a great challenge in our country. And they are promoting a lot of research at the undergraduate level even. And they want to have a community engagement to a lot of global institutions are emphasizing the relevant research and how you are engaging with the community. That is the order of the day with the past at least 1 or 2 years. This cannot happen with one particular discipline or one particular institution. So the connectedness, the networking or the collaboration or relevant research will be the future. And this particular policy will facilitate to have a networking with the multidisciplinary institutions, or the institution has to bring in a multidisciplinariness with the present setup. All these possibilities as an institute we can explore and we can go ahead on this. As I said, entry and exit options initially. So in undergraduate degree courses, if anyone joins, after 1 year, if suppose a student have different problems in our country, maybe he may be a breadwinner in that particular family. So you can discontinue for a while with that particular certificate, whatever the courses he underwent during that particular year. And after 1 year, he can end up his education at that point of time with the certificate. Even after 2 years of study, he can provide with the diploma. At the end of 3 year normal our bachelor's degree, maybe a science and humanities, or if any professional type of degree with the multidisciplinary is there in the bachelor program, after 4 years we have to provide. So this is a pure options which is being extended to the students based on his own choice or the other constraints with the family. With the present setup, if anyone left the college at the end of a second year, throughout his career, he cannot enter a degree, isn't it? After 10 years, if he suppose wants to pursue his further degree, it may not be possible. So this opens up a larger gate in this NEP. If anyone discontinued the study while he is pursuing his undergraduation level, at a later point of time, he can continue whatever the certificates he possessed or discontinued at that point of time. So it is another great and welcome move. As I said, that National Research Foundation for funding purpose, they are going to establish as a trust. It is completely independent of government. That is a newer thing which they are proposing. Otherwise, if a government agency himself assess and providing the funds, they have a soft corner towards to own government institutions. So to avoid that type of a bias, they are bringing up with the new trust. It is purely independent of government. It is entirely governed by the different board of governors on a rotational basis. Again, it is not a static board. Like a corporate, every 3 years or 4 years, they are going to put up this type of board people in a rotational way, and they want to bring up the best researchers and innovators in the field in our country. That is the whole idea behind it, to bring up or come up with this type of a national research foundation. So far we have seen some of the major highlights which is there in the NEP. And naturally, we have a lot of implementation challenges. Legally, that already some commission bills are there. With every regulator like UGC, EICT, you can go on saying like COE, MCI, many things are there. How these acts are going to nullify and they are going to bring up with the new Higher Education Commission bill. That is a great legal challenge, because every university is governing by different act now. Act is a very statutory aspect of it, and it has its own mandate. Already people are there in governing these type of institutions. So how this clashes is going to be sorted out is a major challenge legally with this there. Especially the state and central universities, as I said, in the board of governors. Already every board is governing the particular institution, state at the national level, but these should not have any mismatch or clashes. So legally, lot many things we need to clarify with this type of introducing the policy. As I said, the National Research Foundation, it is going to be an autonomous body trust who will be initiating the trust, and how it is going to be the first trust. All these things are the real challenges, because everyone to be a part of this particular trust at the government level. So affiliated colleges to degree granting autonomous institution, they are already, it is also a part of a policy. All the affiliated colleges will become a degree granting. Now university is affiliating, and different colleges are under the particular university, say 100 or 130 colleges will be there. Once if this particular NEP implemented, then every institution is responsible for awarding their own degree. Okay, this also cannot happen in a year or two. It will take its own time. Now they are targeting in the year of 2035 or 2040. Before that, all this type of even 2030 visionarily they said, probably it will take 15 years to come up with every college of degree granting colleges. And further regulations, state and center already is having, there are a lot of strains are there. Every day in the newspaper even you can see, but it is a concurrent subject. State and center has to be, as per our constitution, it is a concurrent subject. We cannot isolate and move anything we can make only by the center or only by a state. So many things are there to collate all these things to bring proper regulations. And the idea is good. The policy which they are framing, which they are proposing, it needs money. So over the past 50 years, the government every time says that 6% of our GDP will be earmarked towards education, but it never happened. Now also they are saying the same thing. But how far they are going to invest money towards this faculty development or pedagogical or a newer framework or the new infrastructure which need a huge investment in this area, how they are bringing to us the greatest challenge again. Students select the subjects across the streams, they said, like arts, music, commerce. But where are the faculty members in the campus? The announcement is good. Maybe Chennai, like a city, you may have a different experts, subject matter experts which may be there, but cities with the semi-urban area, it is very difficult to across the stream to identify the people. That is another challenge. And infrastructure, funds and faculty, funds and faculty, there may be numbers and quality. Okay. Again, it is a major challenge. Not only the infrastructure development, for which we need a huge funding for physical infrastructure and human resources, not only the faculty, even at the technician level. And professional administration. So far in our all higher educational institution, there are many studies and research happened with the administration which happening inside our universities and higher learning institute. It is not at the, up to the international benchmark. The people expected at the institutional level. So there are a huge challenge. Again, it is lying with the administration. And as I said, there should be a much will is required to fund in education and healthcare. But in the paper's sake or the political statements over the years, in the past 50 years, many times they claimed that we are going to invest a huge way in the education and healthcare, but it never happened. The classroom infrastructure, as I said, blackboard, the teaching supplies, including where now people are talking about the smart boards and the digital learning. The library, lab, space, classroom. This is a common issue with your school education and higher education. Okay, even the blackboard, there are many schools which do not have a blackboard even. There's still in our country many such schools. Majority of the schools, I can say even 60% of the schools do not have a proper blackboard. That is the study talks about it. And access to the education technology, again, globally, many technology has been introduced at the educational institution. But accessing this technology is a very big challenge with our country, because now government is starting to invest some amount of money, especially to have a proper network and to have an access. Many other things are happening, but the pace at which it moves, we need a larger leapfrog. The student-teacher ratio, which is another major concern. At present in India, I think 1:40 is the student-teacher ratio in school level, probably in higher education level, still further more, or 25, 40, 60, something they're saying. So this ratio is a very vital for the interaction or mentoring to pursue the research or any other developmental program which we are envisaging in the campus. So faculty is not to be transferable. Again, this is a major hurdle which is happening in the higher education institution, especially in all state-funded institutions. Faculty transfer is a very common phenomenon. There won't be any continuity in the same institution, but the people are frequently be transferred to the different institutions, which highly affects the ratio for which the institution suffered a lot over the years. And the faculty freedom, as such, only autonomous colleges at the private universities or university people have that freedom to design the curriculum, choose their own pedagogical technologies, techniques, and evaluation procedures. But this freedom, if you give it to every faculty without train them, then again it is a major challenge in the implementation aspect of it. We need to empower the faculty for innovative teaching, for which again the training and development program which is required. Many disparities are there, especially in the faculty pay with respect to the government institutions and the self-supported institutions or the private universities. So larger incentivizations to be introduced, and they also propose in that NEP, especially for appreciation awards or career advancement type of promotions or recognition schemes which they are proposing. And the recruitment, again, there are many things. Everyone is aware of how the faculties are being recruited in the government institution. So it should be highly independent and the transparent criteria they want to establish. And initially they said that it has to be a tenure track. So suitable probation will get extended to ensure the excellence. That is another welcome move which they are going to introduce. All these things are in the policy level. When it gets into the actual implementation, we know what are the major struggles, and a lot of political will and cooperation with the state level is a further requirement. And fast track promotion, especially for the faculty members who are doing well, and they have to be motivated, they said. The confirmed employment after probation of the performance assessment. So these are there already in the guidelines, but when it comes to the execution, really it is a challenge. So again, they are emphasizing that the confirmation of the employment, the recruitment starts with the working, with the performance assessment, with the more peers and students, that is a review or the feedback or the innovations of what we made, and research progress and how we professionally contributed to the country. So these are some of the criteria they also proposed in the policy. And higher education to all individuals, that should be the highest priorities, they said, with the magnitude of population of our nation and demographic advantage they wanted to have with a particular situation. So their complete priority goes to the higher education, which is another welcome move that which they are proposing. The continuity from the secondary education to higher education is a huge dip is there at present. Secondary to college level dropping out is much higher than any other nation. So they want to ensure that continuity by entering this higher education. That's why this type of multiple exit options and all they are proposing. At least he can own a particular diploma or certificate level. And the economy of pursuing higher education, the appropriate student support mechanism and the financial constraints. Funding for providing scholarships for higher education is another great challenge. It's not only to our nation, even throughout the globe, people are struggling to support the student, especially through monetarily. There are huge financial constraints out there, especially in his own education. So for which also they identified some of the steps, suitable government funds for socioeconomic disadvantaged group, and they have set up, fixed up some targets for a higher gross enrollment ratio. Again, this is a value which our state have crossed. Something we are in 42 or so, they have put up for the next 10 years at least 25% gross enrollment ratio in our higher education. So these are the some of the state level differences there, gender balance, yes. In all this aspect, at least our state is has gone much higher way. Bilingual higher educational institution, that is another thing which they are proposing. Whether it is good or bad, only after the execution will come to know. Already we had some experience with the Anna University undergraduation level in Tamil medium. So this type of thing which they are proposing, again, outreaching programs for the socioeconomic disadvantaged group, because many times these type of schemes may not be available or aware with those type of people. So there should be many outreach programs they are proposing, and the technological tools for better participation. Okay, for equity and inclusion. So this much implementation challenges are there when they propose this one. So in general, the learning of a human being, if you happen to see with the design learning, there are certain factors. One is the autonomy. Everyone should have an autonomy for learning, because we are all human beings are much curious in nature. Every human being is curious. Curiosity will be there, and they want to be mastery, but due to some constraint, they may not be in a position to learn at that particular point of time. So everyone is allowed to learn, and human being, whatever they learn, always he thinks that there is some purpose, which means that he has to solve some amount of problem for getting solutions or an answer. So this is the basis for which the design of learning which they have proposed, probably the autonomy, mastery, and the purpose. Now coming to our education, what is the level at which we are? Primarily, we focus more on theory and highly structured. We know every curriculum, which is a much formal and mathematical problem solving, and it's highly centered on disciplines or branches and rigid curriculum, outdated curriculum, you can say. For the past several years, we have only the LTP culture, lecture of this much, theory, tutorials of this much, and practicals. So what missing out in our present curriculum is the flexibility. We don't have much flexibility. Even we can claim that it is a choice-based credit system. Out of all the 160 credits, probably the 30-40 credits we may be providing, but it is not a pure flexibility which is there, which is completely missing today. So mostly the courses will happen on classroom lectures and lab discussions, and there is no any ownership and value orientation. But does not consider the contemporary development, the impact on society and environment. These are the very important and vital in education. What is happening outside with the contemporary technologies of the development? What is the impact which I am going to do with the project or the environment, how I am considering? This is all missing. The present engineering is a human-centric, network-centric, and highly complex. This is highly complex now. Even it does not recognize the cognitive level for problem solving. Some problem these people are solving, but a real cognitive level, are we solving the problems, is again a very big question. So there are many developments which are happening today, especially through the online education. We have many platforms, we have many online lecturing and interaction. As a faculty, everyone got exposed in the past 1 year during pandemic, many online sessions and the lecturing. So the teaching learning process moves to completely the online platform. The startups or education online is on the rise. There are much highly enriched and uploaded contents which are there in the Khan Academy YouTube. Lot of educational and teaching information which is there. And learn first from the websites of a leading institution, then papers. So now the student is having an idea, even faculty you can say, first we will search it in a website, what is happening in that particular domain with the leading institution by go through the different websites of the learning institution. Then we read out the newspapers to have, or the journal papers or the books to have what is that happening or the development of it. Books and journals, everyone moved to the soft copies. Even in our library, we moved completely online with the Nimbus software, probably your institute too. So this facilitates the student and faculty to access all amount of journals and the books which are available in the library. Necessity moved us to online teaching and learning. This everyone will agree, I hope. So there are certain requirements from the NEP. I will highlight the primary things which are required. The first and foremost thing what we are saying is the creativity. Do something with the new ideas which may lead to the process and products and solutions which are more useful and relevant. Which we never allow the student to be of more creative so far, either at the school level or at the higher education level. So this is the first and foremost requirement which we are proposing. What is the component in the creativity also? They said like a curiosity, questioning, thinking, observing, analyzing, finding solution. These are the basic component which everyone required to be a creative person. So interdisciplinary approach is another thing which they said. As such, every department is operating without any connectedness, including my institution. Very recently, in the past 5 years or 10 years, some amount of interdisciplinary we thought of bringing inside our curriculum, like foundation electives in the second or third year, which means the science faculty, at least they will go and teach at the third year to have some interdisciplinaries, or the final year projects or any mini project they can approach the concerned science and humanities faculty to carry out the project. So this type of multidimensional human-centric approach is required. Technology alone we cannot do, or we cannot proceed further, progress further. At least the interdisciplinary integrated projects they are expecting, which include the humanities and the behavioral sciences. So engineering is all about providing solutions to the society. So socially, we should have a better understanding how to behave and how the humans are actively involved in the particular activity. So engineering is a complex, naturally. The curriculum with the interdisciplinary components will give ease out that engineering process of providing the solutions. Another requirement which they are proposing is the self-learning and group learning room. We have to allow the student to have some amount of self-learning and the group learning. That is the learning by yourself through books, lectures, reports, group learning. Plenty of things which are available. I'll give you some more examples in the coming slides. And abstract of learning, we have to allow them to prepare a common critiques, questions to solve the problems. Otherwise, we provide normally the stereotype problems which are available in the textbook or in the reference book. But what they're expecting out of the student through the learning is the abstraction. How he can be able to abstract after doing, comprehending something. And we should provide many seminars on the future skills and technology, the collaborative learning. The success only comes through this, they said. Discussions forum or question answer sessions, and startups evolve this approach. Many startups have evolved only through the discussions or with the question answer session. That is the study they made, and they are imparting. They asked us to impart this type of discussions and question answer sessions. Allow the student learning in groups, more of a student group discussions. Otherwise, the student will experience in the conventional undergraduate program only at the final year, or maximum if any of the mini projects they give, they will have an experience to have this type of a group discussions. So they also want to have a more flexibility, as I said, that the student to decide what he wants to do. It is not rigid, outdated content which they pose as a 56 subjects or so far. So which is the student themselves to decide if I am want to move in a particular area like finance or music with the basic degree which you possess. And it is little difficult to implementation. As I said earlier, there may not be fullest availability of faculty within the campus. So campus to campus will have a better understanding. Implementation issues are there in this type of flexibility. And the pace of learning is normally individual centric. This flexibility, once if you provide it, which you may not cope up in the particular stipulated time, so it will get extended to the next thing, which also they said that you have to extend it that time. And evaluation, as I said, the assessment has to be much different from the present way of doing the examination. So there should be a more faculty interaction. It has to be increased, they said, and more of a student reports that he has to read and write, comprehend, technical reports he has to prepare. And quizzes, mini projects and seminars should be a part of assessment plan with the larger weightages and its assessment criteria. And finally, the NEP requirements will be of a social relevance, the problem faced by the people, especially the small and medium enterprises, rural problems like water lifting, number of things they have quoted or highlighted, harvesting, garbage disposal, traffic congestion, in rural area of a smart grid. The schools to be improved, fundamentally the higher education institution to be handled with the schools, which need a lot of improvement in every domain, physically as well as physical infrastructure as well as in developing the teacher quality. And NEP requirements, people need to explore with the more research orientation, and they have to conduct a lot of inquiries. Inquiry based or discussion based or discovery based, that's what they have to emphasize. And another important thing which they propose is the project-based learning. That is, these are the possibilities to bring in many components which they have earlier told, like collaboration, networking, connectedness, the recent environment or sustainability issues, the energy-based projects. All these things only through projects we can learn it, they said. The project-based learning is a definition which they have given some time ago. There is nothing new. It is an assignment carried out by a more task, the production of a final product. It may be a design, a model, a device, or a computer simulation. The final project is normally a return or a oral report summarizing the procedure used to produce a product and presenting the outcome. So, on a theme or for a particular objective, how we has end up with some amount of a design or model or a device or capable of producing the product or showing as an outcome. That is the project-based learning. It's not for the sake of doing a project. It has to be ended up with some amount of a physical product. So these are some of the 2020 skills at the time of announcing the NEP also, which is true still. This has been collected probably for the different grad challenges and the engineers requirements throughout the globe. The complex problem solving are the attributes which they proposed by the accreditation: the critical thinking, creativity, people management, judgment and decision making, service orientation, negotiation skills, or the cognitive flexibility, which we are not allowing actually. The cognitive flexibility which we now allow inside the campuses. So coordinating with others. Only if we do a project-based learning or sort of a mini projects, if we provide to the student, probably the coordination automatically develops. Architectural education does that. Normally, the architectural education, throughout their studies, many assignments will be of a much coordinated and individual one, and they have to defend it. So that type of an education we need to go for probably in the coming days. So the augmenting, further 20 minutes I'll complete it, sir. The augmenting learning through the digital education. There are certain critical issues in higher education before introducing it to the digital education. Whether we have equitable access to our learning process. Is it relevance? Whether the governance is happening or the learning at the end of a learning, any innovation or internationalization happens. These are some of the major critical issues which is there in our education, higher education. So there are many innovative models which has come in now, especially during the past 2-3 years. The last year in the pandemic, we have witnessed a number of online sessions and the lecturing through the different universities. That is, even online university has opened up, and the cluster education city, that also, which is a new concept throughout the globe, it has come in. In Malaysia, a particular area, you have a huge amount of universities, 50 universities in a particular area. That is a cluster education city, which is coming up throughout the globe. And traditional learning with the hands-on skills. So learning and skills has to be, knowledge and skill has to be part and parcel of our education. But over a period of time, that hands-on skills is completely come down, and there is a huge discrepancy between your learning and the hands-on skill. This is one of the reasons our institute has come up with a new framework called the CDIO framework, Conceive, Design, Implement, and Operate. There are more than 130 universities have been part of the particular curricular framework. We are also got a membership recently in the last 2 years before. So which primarily emphasize the study should be of a much hands-on or practical training. So you are free to do are free to allow the students to carry on certain amount of hands-on in every subject to the maximum extent of the possibility of the courses. So that type of thing they are coming in, especially as an innovative model. Partnership and collaboration. Yes, lot many things are happening in the globe now. By sitting in our Tier 2 city like Madurai, now it is possible to have an immediate collaboration with the Columbia University or any other university abroad, and interdisciplinariness. Also, some challenges ahead we are having through this digital education. We know that still I want to highlight what is the thing. How to minimize the student learning deficit due to the transition to online. So there are certain definite deficits with the online education. Right? So how we are going to minimize it? How to reduce the inequality? Still in our classes, out of 60, every day probably the 12, 13 students are not attending. It is not want of missing our lectures, probably the other technical glitches like internet or in a physical location, the signals may not be proper, or is compatibility of a system. A lot many infrastructural networking issues are there with this, and it directly relates to the inequality, and it creates a huge technological divide. Okay, and how to keep the students and teachers engaged or motivated in a good mental health. It is a very strainable job. Earlier, if you go physically, we do a lecturing is something different. But engaging a student with this online, it is a very it affects, in fact, a little bit of a mental health with every faculty. May not be in a position to express it, but that is the actual study says that. How to guarantee the integrity of testing and learning assessment. That is another big challenge. Even 2 months before that art semester in IIT Bombay, all the tests were cancelled because of malpractices happened in the final assessment. It has highlighted in the newspaper. So what is the integrity with the students on your assessment process? That is a great question mark. And with this question only, we are moving ahead with this online education. How to mitigate the academic impact due to the upcoming financial constraints. There are many students who are not able to pay the college fees. Still, last year fee is pending with our institution. In fact, ours is a government-aided institution, and many rural students are there. Their livelihood itself, it is a great questionable at this point of time. The paying the fees is the greatest challenge to them. So this has burdened higher learning institution, not only within India. Complete all other institutions in the world are struggling to maintaining their financials. So comparing your teaching paradigm with the traditional and new online thing, there are 5 factors. It's a long back they are compared, which is still true with respect to the knowledge transfers teachers to student. It built together between teachers and students, and the students are sponge factor because physically we are able to contact them. Now acting, building up, discovery, transforming of the students' own knowledge, because their self-learning or with their own knowledge, he is building up now. The purpose of teachers is to classify and ordering the students based on performance. Now the development of competencies and the skills of a student. Competency is knowledge and skill multiplied with a student able to demonstrate something. So the demonstrative ability only comes with the competency. Otherwise, everybody will have a knowledge and skill. But when it comes to the demonstration way, then many students may not. That is why the new paradigm talks about the competencies and skills of the students. The interaction is impersonal, now it is a purely personal. The context is competitive. Earlier is only a competitive, now it is of more cooperative and team-based. Then only the networking happens, the connectedness will be there, and we can do a lot. Assumption is that anyone with some experience can teach. Now that is not the case. Teaching is very complex and it requires a considerable training. Many senior faculty have struggled to enter into the online mode initially. Later they got picked up, but it is a very complex process, the online teaching and learning. It is one of the recent survey in the 2020 they made with the 5,000 teachers by the LA University. What is the thing we want to describe at an emotional level? It is completely online education is anxious, fearful, worried, overwhelmed, and sad. No one is much happier about the online education. Okay, that is a actual scenario that survey reveals that it is not 1 or 2%. 5,000 teachers they have studied. And a negative perception of students taking online courses. Online courses whoever is taking, only 2 out of 10 students expressed having positive perceptions such as easiness and satisfaction, which means 80% of the students are not in comfort zone for taking up the learning. It is not so easy. They are not satisfied. That is the result shows in the year 2020. Throughout the world, the Google has come up with some graph online courses. Suddenly it got increased because of pandemic. Everyone knows it, but many institutions and many people are sustained with that. Studying abroad, going people for studying is completely changed out. Only 2% of the students are mobilized throughout the globe in this particular academic year. Everyone knows that. Google also ensures that. And again, 10 key skills they have identified, 10 key skills. India also have identified similar to the 2020 top skills. What they are saying is the sense making, the social intelligence, which is very much required now, and novel or adaptive innovation or a creative thinking, that is what. And cross-cultural competency, which is a very important and a vital one because of connectivity. And computational thinking and new media literacy, because the digital media has taken up a lot, many things into our room, inside our hand. And transdisciplinarity, they are not talking about multidisciplinarity, transdisciplinarity. And a design mindset. That is the reason that the CDO has come up with all these things of future skills inside our curriculum. Design thinking we have introduced in our campus now. Cognitive load management, which is another thing, how the students are cope up with the cognitive levels, and the virtual collaboration. That is happening over the years now with this online. Some areas of opportunity for your disruptive education, that is the smart articulation or the recognition of prior learning, that is like a flipped classroom techniques. And true flexibility is required. Blended delivery already it is happening. Every course in 40 hours of lecture, probably 30 hours and 10 hours of physical interaction, calling them to the college and expressing themselves for what they have learned or they are being mentored. And the community into the school, research for a social change, yes, like SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, so projects are taken up by a lot of students and the faculty members. Students as the drivers of their own learning, flipped learning, yes, virtual mobility is happening. And internationalization at home, that is a terminology coined. Internationalization is happening at home now. Webinar arranged from the Canadian professor, now Madurai students are attending, which never happened earlier. So the key to engagement and the learning in the online environment, lectures only should have 18 minutes of time zone. That is a more comfort level they identified, and they create a meaningful learning and apply learning method modalities. That is why it is a great challenge to all the faculty members. What are the learning modalities which is there, and how we can feed it to our students? What is the level of the students, and what is our teaching style, and it should matching with the learning style. And design engaging activities, how we are going to engage them in the team, and how we are going to effectively use that type of outcomes. Okay, that is another challenge. Apply learning to yourself. As a faculty member, continuously we have to be learn without a lot of changes happening with the world. As a teacher, we should be for multitasking. The perfect online teacher should have a web access, publishing, information management, thinking pedagogy, because this is a new thing. Every faculty should think of always to bring a new pedagogy, learning environments, and returning home. Yes, many times work-life balance is highly disturbed with every faculty now. And the skill sets for the 21st century, they are coming up with the different skill sets for a teacher even. And building a new paradigm, that is a perfect online teacher should cope up with all these parameters, all the factors. So digital education since the COVID-19, nearly 100% of UG and PG students, 20 million or so, are now learning remotely online through varied formats and pedagogies. Because we know, everyone should accept it also. Over 2,400 higher education institutions have been forced to adopt hybrid learning strategy. Hybrid learning is online, and what we did now in this month of March, probably all the practical sessions are happening inside our campus. That is hybrid learning. And 7 times Coursera courses have been done with our student and faculty members. 70 million, which means that 10 million new users have been signed up. Whether they are completed or not, that is a different issue. But the knowledge gained is a gain. So many course contents have been spread out throughout the globe through this type of platforms. And 37 times the Blackboard and EdTech delivery platforms are globally used. So these are some of the statistics that we want to close up this session. Why we need to crawl like a crab when we always can fly like a butterfly? So the world is in front of us. Lot many scopes and potentials are available, especially with this NEP policy and your online digital education. With that, I want to conclude my session. Thank you. Any questions are there? I am ready to answer it.
Thank you, sir. Participants, if you have any queries, you can ask me.
Any useful thing has been conveyed, you can freely ask. Many things you might be read it in newspapers or a routine thing. I just collated and I wanted to present it. Somebody have a question in the chat box. Hopefully. No, that is it. Okay. Anyone? Yeah, be free to, because as a faculty member, we have struggled a lot, especially to handle the students during this pandemic. I faced a lot of problems with the students initially. Now at least they got stabilized and they are on their own way. Innovative at least the innovative teaching methodologies are more than 1,000, sir. Definitely, it is innumerable techniques are available. It is purely individual and course dependent. I handled one course called Integrated Product Development, in which I have given one mini project. You have to come up with the product as a new toy. The toy is the theme which I have given. But the product as a thing, final thing they have come up with is phenomenal, because we have given a complete freedom towards that. I have not conducted 1, 2, 3 assignments in that particular semester. I told them initially your assignment marks is a mini project. So everyone have their own thinking. So they did it in a very, very good way. I never expected that all of them will come up with some sort of a toy. All the toys are not good or all the toys are not successful. It is a learning process for them, what to do with that basic design or what to do with that final thing, how to, because they could have undergone a lot many struggles and constraints in making that particular product. So it all case dependent, and many web portals and things are there. I don't need to say, I think. There are huge innovative teaching methodologies are there. Our faculty members got exposed, I'll tell you also. There is one consortium called the Indo-Universal Consortium in Engineering Education, IUCE. Our college was involved since the year 2007 in that particular consortium. All our faculty members, almost all our 240 faculty members, some or the other way, we got exposed to that innovative teaching with them. It is a global consortium. Almost 100 institutions are there from India too. With that, our college got specifically benefited.
Sir, there is one more question from UP Academics.
Yeah. With reference to the multiple exit options, can a student who decided to quit in first year continue in the same course? Yes, that is the whole idea. They are introducing this multiple exit options. Not only one time. Probably the first year of exit, he got his certificate. Then at the age of 23 or 24, if possible, he can continue 1 year. Even at the age of 30, after marriage, after kidding, he can complete the course also. That's possibility is there. That's what it means. Is it possible to implement the changes in the vast country? Yes, it maybe education is not a much faster process. If you happen to see the Oxford University, that state test they got after 300 years of effort of different people, the different experiences in teaching and learning, different frameworks, different technologies. The same. Education is a very slow process. Country like us, at least now they put up a seed. It will take some time. We need to undergo this process, but definitely we will yield a certain amount of benefits in the long term. Because with the present setup, it is clearly proved that nothing is going to use. Because many of our engineers, what we are seeing in the road, we can see every day with the Uber and Uber drivers or in Swiggy delivery vans, isn't it? It is proven already with the system of education. People are more than 60% of our engineers are not directly employable to the engineering as an engineer. So probably this type of introduction in our education from the childhood, they also have their own knowledge and they can get are entered into the different streams that will have a larger employability potential.
Sir,
Need to know evaluation options. Yeah. Very recently, Anna University also has come up with this type of an evaluation procedures. Probably your institute also could have got it. What we are doing is multiple choice questions with Viva OC. This is another one-to-one discussion. We will come to know with the student that what he has learned over the 40 years or in the 6 months of that particular subject. So it needs a lot of effort by the faculty member to evaluate that particular student. That is possible. In fact, today and tomorrow it is happening with my subject. My colleague is undergoing that particular process of Viva OC with every student now. Yeah. The current curriculum, current curriculum has not been revised. Point agreed. How will you implement the changes when the teachers have been graduated from the outdated curriculum? It doesn't mean that the teachers are not capable, sir. Teachers are always capable to learn anything. We never studied the mobile technology in our electronics and communication when I passed out 85. But people who are teaching, the present teacher who is teaching the cellular technologies, only with the help of a learning. We know certain amount of the basics and foundation. Naturally, we can extend this type of a thing into our curriculum. See, curriculum is only the intent of studies, how we are going to impart our education to the student. So there are many modes and methods which are there throughout the globe. Only because we got struck with the affiliating type of system, the LTP system is followed over the 60 years. That is the only reason. So now teachers or the faculty members are exposed to the different curriculum framework, as I said, a CDAO, which we never imagined 3 years ago that our college will go for a CDAO framework. But it yields a very good output from the students. So that is possible. Teachers can do a wonder in this world. It is not an issue. Is the doldrums already? It is possible to revive with the multiple exit forms. Yes. See, as I said, after 4 years of education, the student doesn't know what he has studied. He is working for a delivery in a Swiggy company. But the exit option doesn't allow him, because even at the 1 year of his certificate course, gave him a confidence to work in that particular domain. Okay, that is the greatest advantage which they are introducing with that multiple exit options. Even at the second year, they are giving a diploma. Because of family constraint or any other medical reasons, he could have discontinued and proceed with the diploma for a company as a supervisor or a technician. It is told for engineering program, maths, physics, it is not mandatory. That's a very controversial topic, sir. That has to be, maths and physics has to be there because they're very basic and fundamental. All these things, the conclusions made may be due to the present employability scenario. How do we perceive this? Implemented for 21. No. This may not be. This may not be. Again, the ACT has partially withdrawn that it is only a guideline. You don't need to follow this one as per the university thing. You yourself decided the local condition. They said. I think maths and physics are the mandatory thing, which is not cannot completely avoid it.
So according to new, sir, one more.
Yeah.
Sir. According to new education policy, students are given freedom to choose their subjects.
Yes.
They are having. If it is going like that, if anyone is choosing different subjects, what will be the depth of the knowledge gained by the student?
Already this type of system is there, madam. Where I underwent in Pilani, there are only 12 courses for mechanical engineering or electrical engineering. Only 12 courses. Program electives will be there, maybe 8 courses in all the 56 courses. Rest of the courses on your own, you can choose it. Even at that time, some of my undergraduate students, when I did PG, my adjacent roommate, neighbor, probably he has chosen the Gandhian thought as a course. Music as a course. That type of thing is, it doesn't mean that whoever is passing out from Pilani is not a thing, because we need a spectrum of education is all about how to be a characterized human being. It is not only by studying and electing more subjects, he is not going to be a best human being. That is a thing. Now people are exploring this and to bring up or coming up with that. A lot of challenges are there, no doubt on that. Implementation issues will be there.
Any other doubts? Ma'am, Gomati ma'am, shall we wind up, ma'am? So I would.
Ma'am, if there are no further questions, we can.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I would like to thank our resource person for sharing your ideas and help us to learn about what is NTP and what are the implementation issues in Jetron also. And I would like to thank our dean, sir, for providing us an opportunity to conduct this webinar. And also I would like to thank our Vice Principal Gomati ma'am and Dr. Keshavan sir and all the heads of the department and all participants. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Please fill the feedback link, feedback form. It's given in chat box.